What's up guys? Welcome to your 19th computer networking tutorial, and today we are going to discuss about wireless LAN, wireless local area networks. So guys, we will be going to discuss about two local area networks. On the first place, we will be discussing about Adhoc networks. How can we establish Adhoc networks? And at the second place, we will be discussing about an IEEE 802.11x standard based networks. And here X stands for A, B, G, and N. We are going to discuss about different flavors of 802.11 A, B, G, and N networks. And in the end, we will be discussing about the security standards of IEEE 802.11 networks. So let's start our discussion of ad hoc networks. So ad hoc wireless LANs are those LANs which do not require any router or access point. You just need two laptops with wireless cards, and you can establish your ad hoc networks through Windows networking. So you just need to select ad hoc networks and establish the connection between two or more devices, and you are ready to go. An example of ad hoc network is that if you are in a meeting and if you would like to exchange the data between two or more computers, then you can easily establish an ad hoc networks on ad hoc basis and then disassemble that network. So that is all for the ad hoc networks, and now we will continue our discussion of IEEE 802.11x based local area networks. So if I ask you, what is a wireless network, wireless based network? The first thing that comes to our mind is that the wireless network has got some kind of a central device, for example, our wireless router, and all the other computers are connected to that device or wireless router. So this wireless router in networking term may be called as access point. Access point or wireless network is the center point of wireless based networks. So it is wireless router, and we have got nodes, or we may call them as stations. So your laptop, your desktop, your mobile phone, your tablet PC, your smart TV may be a part of a wireless network. And these wireless networks communicate wirelessly in air, and they use different channels to communicate. And the band or the frequency which is commonly used for wireless communication in home-based and small office-based networks is around 2.4 gigahertz. And how can we identify these routers or access points? For that, we need SSID. SSID stands for Service Set Identifier. It is actually the name of your wireless network. It is 32 characters unique name. SSID differentiates one LAN from another, one WLAN or wireless LAN from another, and all the stations they try to access that router or more than one router with the same SSID that is service set identifier. So guys, I have already told you that there are different standards of 802.11 network. That is, there are different flavors of 802.11 network. And the first flavor which was introduced was 802.11a. And usually the networks which were based on 802.11a standard operated on 5 gigahertz frequency. So I have told you that nowadays these networks are operating on 2.4 gigahertz frequency, but 802.11a used to operate on 5 gigahertz frequency, and it could support the data transfer rate of 54 megabits per second. But as it was not compatible with other networks operating at 2.4 gigahertz or near to 2.4 gigahertz frequency, therefore it is not being used presently. And then based on the problems with 802.11 network, IEEE introduced a new standard that was called 802.11b standard, and it operates on 2.4 gigahertz frequency, and this 2.4 gigahertz frequency is called ISM. ISM stands for Industrial Scientific Medical Band. So we, as a small office or in our network, in our homes, we can use these frequencies of ISM or Industrial Scientific Medical Band frequencies. Alright, so friends, and this standard used to support and is still supporting in some scenarios 1 megabits per second transfer data rate, 2, 5.5, and of course 54 megabits per second transfer rate. And one more thing, that these wireless networks that are using 802.11x standards, they use different channels to operate. And some of the most common channels are channel number 1. When you open your interface of your router, then you can select either channel number 1, channel number 6, and channel number 11. These are the channels which are most widely used, and these are usually non-congested channels. And friends, channel number 1 operates at 2.412 gigahertz per gigahertz frequency. Channel number 6 operates at 2.437 gigahertz frequency, whereas channel number 11 operates at 2.462 gigahertz frequency. And then as we needed a more reliable standard, therefore IEEE introduced 802.11g standard, and it got very popular. It also operated at 2.4 gigahertz frequency, and it could support 54 megabits per second. But as we needed more and more bandwidth intensive applications, therefore IEEE introduced 802.11n standard in 2009. And this standard, routers working based on these standards can support from 54 to 600 megabits per second data transfer rate. And the trick is that these routers uses MIMO based standard, there is multiple input, multiple output. That is, these routers use different antennas at the same time to transfer data, multiple input and multiple output. And nowadays we are using either 802.11 and standard 802.11g standard. And if we have got a network which has got multiple access points, that it has either got multiple routers or multiple repeaters and a router, then these types of networks are called infrastructure based wireless local area networks. Infrastructure local area networks. Infrastructure wireless local area network. And how do these wireless local area networks work? These work based on CSMA CA standard. That is carrier sense multiple access with collision detection. Carrier sense that it sense that if it can send the data and it tries to avoid collision avoidance. So now let's discuss in detail how these networks operate. Let us suppose we have got two laptops in our network, and this is a sender, and the sender would like to send the data to the receiver. So how will it operate? The sender will send a request, that is request to send, and if the receiver can receive the data, then it will send a signal CTS, that is clear to send. So it tells the sender that it can send the data, and the sender then sends the data. And once the data is received, the receiver sends the acknowledgement that data has been received. So this is how wireless based networks operate. And now a little bit about WLAN security. There are three standards. If you open your router interface, then you can see that you have got WEP, WPA, and WPA version 2. WEP stands for wide equivalent frequency, but it proved to be a very weak standard, and nowadays we do not usually use WPE standard for security. Then we have in 203 IEEE introduced WPA Wi-Fi protected access, and it was a good standard, and they just modified it, and in June 2004 they introduced the standard WPA2, and these standards usually use 64 or 128 bits encryption for security reasons. So thank you very much, guys and girls, for joining me for this tutorial. If you would like to know more about wireless networking, then please visit ifectner.com, and in the next tutorials we will be discussing about how can we configure home-based computer networks. So guys and girls, thank you very much. Please like this video, subscribe, and visit ifectner.com.